It's Tim Albright with This Week in CE with the twice 2020 holiday outlook with me. First and foremost is Fred Towns from New Age Electronics. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
And also with us is Steve Koenig from Consumer Technology Association. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
All right. So first and foremost, Fred, I want to start with you on this. This year, not to overstate, or to be oversimplistic, is a little different, right? Both from a consumer buying habit and the fact that folks are buying even sooner, but also some supply chain issues that folks have run into. So as we're getting into the 2020 holiday season, what are you guys seeing overall, and what are some of the trends you're seeing as we're getting into the 2020 holiday season?
Yeah, this was a very interesting year as we started to try and review it and think, when the pandemic kind of broke out in 2020, we started to wonder how long are we going to all be sequestered and trying to protect our lives by staying home and protect our family and friends. And with that to be said, we started to see our customers trying to supplement what gear they had at home to make their work at home environment more palatable. As the time kept getting extended more and more, people said, well, I probably should start to upgrade. With that happening, the demand by our customer base was huge. People were starting to say all the things that I need to communicate, whether it be a PC, whether it be a monitor, whether it be an improved Wi-Fi, whether it be a more ergonomic chair to sit in, or a better desk, or a way to store some of the things that I'll be working from home and eventually go back to work and be able to share. So storage devices, all those type of peripheral products started to become crazy popular. In addition, a lot of parents had students that were now at home and they were having to be homeschooled through education online. And there was certain times of that day where the classroom work was done, the homework was completed. Now what do we do with them? So gaming and computer gaming and all those type of devices, streaming of video content and signals meant that it was a more challenge to the home environment, and you needed a better, more robust way to improve your Wi-Fi signals in your home. All those type of devices went wild. And as we're seeing, the industry, when this demand happened, kind of ate up everything, including their supply inventory. And what we're seeing now is that demand is still there. It's pent up demand, and it's carrying now into the holiday season. In addition, this is an interesting point that we've been discussing, is really the fact that with the limitations to travel, as we see what's happening with all the airlines and how people are staying at home and trying to do things in a more controlled fashion, it's going to be a year of guilt giving, that people are going to be very concerned about, I can't go out and see my son who's living out of town and my granddaughter, and I'm going to send them a nicer gift this year, or I'm going to send them a way to connect up, or I'm going to make sure when we go on Wi-Fi that they have a great connection. And they're looking at all these new entry points and all these ways to access a much better way to communicate.
Well, let's get specifics in here. Fred, what are some of the hotter topics or hotter products that folks, or maybe even hotter categories that folks are looking into this year? Is it the connectivity, or is there another aspect of this?
Yeah, there are. So connectivity is really the starting point for all of this. You have to have a good engine. And in that connectivity, it's really improving the Wi-Fi, making sure there's a much better complete signal throughout the home or the work environment. A lot of people are deciding to take their devices from work, and this is truly the time where bring your device to work and back and forth. It's happening. The true road warrior was probably ready for it, but the rest were not. And it was really trying to make sure that we could get that signal and be very, very well connected with that signal. And with that, Wi-Fi routers, extenders, all of those type of devices were the enablers to improve that. Outside of that was people at work more than likely had 1 or 2 monitors connected up, some people 3, depending on the type of work they did. Yeah. And how do I replicate that now at home if I'm truly going to be at home? Even a lot of companies were subsidizing their employees to give them some funding to be able to put the proper environment to work from home. And it was a way to know that should the model change in the future, they're now equipped should the fall season or winter season be challenging, they're equipped to go back and work back at home and back and forth. So that was a big game changer. So all the type of devices, printers now at home were very popular, Wi-Fi devices, monitors, keyboards, all of those type of storage devices, mice, all the things that a lot of times people would bring a laptop home and just use the touchpad on the laptop. Well, now when you're working full time at home, you need those things. Some people are even looking at a secondary camera, not the one that's on your computer, but one that you're going to be front facing to your large monitor and get a much better solid image. So those type of devices were extremely popular. And then to not forget about relatives and grandparents and those that are afar, devices like the Portal or the Show from Amazon, or Google, all those type of devices enabled connectivity to people that were not as comfortable using more sophisticated ways to connect, like your PCs and other things. And we put them in an environment that more than likely communicated with the family before, but now it's easier. And they don't have to have necessarily a screen and try and figure out how to be in focus in the picture. The devices would help them to do that. So all of those products have been very, very much, I would say, on high demand. And then the other part that for us, all the home controlled environments. So the Amazon, the Googles, the Nest products. So if we're working on a call like this and the room is hot, you can give a very simple command and turn your air conditioning on more, or if it's cold, make it a little bit warmer, or someone's at the doorbell and you can bring up the monitor and look on screen at your automated doorbell, which is, Ring and the Nest product. All of them had their own versions of these type of product. And you could see who's at the door. And in a touch-free environment, it's like, hi, what can I help you with? Well, I have a package for you. Okay, well, I'm giving you authority to go ahead and leave it at the door. I'll come down and get it when you're gone. So it added that convenience. And then the other part to go the next level, lights, door locks, and things like that could be automated so that if I knew a house cleaner or a child was coming off of working across the street with a pod teaching environment with my neighbor, they can get into the house and I can still be on this call and unlock the door for them. I mean, so many different things like that became the new norm and highly desirable. And channels that we traditionally would sell consumer electronics in started to expand to do-it-yourself channels. The Home Depots, the Lowe's, and places like that where people are going to do things around their home while they were home more. They would look at these devices and also buy those devices in those locations because they were ready for it. They had it, and they knew that if they couldn't do it, they even had contractors and other people that could help them do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, you just finished the 2020 holiday report for CTA, for the Consumer Technology Association. There's some interesting things happening there when it comes to online shopping and something called content-related products that I want you to get into on this. You share some of those insights that you guys discovered at CTA?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Tim, Holiday 2020 is our 27th annual holiday tech purchasing study. So we've been at this body of work for nearly 30 years. And as Fred said, this is going to be a very interesting holiday. And I want to start with our forecast and just really, the data certainly corroborates everything that Fred was just talking about in terms of what's going to be hot. But we're estimating, based on the data, that consumer spending on tech will increase 10% over holiday 2019. Now, that includes hardware and content. And that really begs the question, so what's going to be really hot? Well, according to our data, really at the top of the list are smartphones. Now, why do I say that? Well, if we think about all this buying activity that Fred described that's been happening throughout this season all year long, a lot of households have already upgraded things like laptops, flagship displays, and so forth. And we know there's a lot of excitement and product announcements in this season, holiday season. We've heard about iPhone 12. We have a new Pixel phone. We have the Galaxy Fold. So consumers are now pivoting and looking at their mobile device as a principal upgrade. In fact, smartphone is #1 on the holiday tech wish list for consumers, and it's #3 on the purchase list. So that tells you and really underscores consumer enthusiasm for that. Beyond that, game consoles, of course, Fred mentioned this, but for gaming, I want to point out content. Really the other side of that gaming coin in terms of spending, where according to our estimates, gaming content is really going to account for about 54% of overall content spending. So that adds up to $16 billion as our estimate on just gaming content spending alone this holiday season. Of course, the usual suspects, TVs, laptops, smartwatches, these are going to be popular. But beyond that, Tim, I want to point out two emerging categories that people should really be leaning into and taking a look at. One are STEM education products or even toys. You know, in this season of distance learning, I think a lot of parents would like to augment their child's education with a STEM education product or educational toy. And another sector that we're watching and we're seeing budding enthusiasm for are what we describe as healthy home technologies. These are air purifiers, UV sanitation systems of all kinds, water filtration, and so forth. So a lot of interest for very obvious reasons there. And that begs the question, lastly, is where are people going to shop? Now, of course, the data tells us that people are planning to shop online, and that doesn't surprise anyone. What may surprise people is that people are actually saying, yeah, I'm going to go out to stores, but with the caveat that they're going to be looking and paying very close attention to social distancing orders and the safety precautions there at retail. So really, that's going to be very important in kind of determining what stores consumers shop at and really where they shop. And in fact, 1/5 of consumers say that they're going to opt for curbside pickup, something that's been popular really all season long. So as Fred said, a fantastic holiday is on tap. We're right at the headwaters of holiday today, and it's just going to get better. More promotions happening and so forth, but certainly more clicks, I think, than bricks in holiday 2020.
Very good. That's a really good way to put that. Fred and Steve both, and Fred, we'll start with you on this. You know, from moving beyond holiday 2020 into let's say the first quarter of 2021, what do you see as far as the industry when it comes to either supply issues or a forecast for the first quarter of next year?
Yeah, good question, Tim. I think the one challenge has been for most of the companies when manufacturing is building their product. They build a certain level that they're going to anniversary over the prior year. In looking at that, the demand that came in so much earlier than the holiday season started to consume all available inventory and all available safety stock that they had in lieu to kind of build for the future. So as components came in many cases, they were scarfed up very quickly to try and meet the pent-up demand that was out there. What we see into 2021 is, though, that demand is still not fulfilled yet. And there's a lot of customers that still need the product. There's a lot of schools that are still in desperate need of their Chromebooks and other products like that to provide the right tools for education going into the year. And a lot of people have not been able to find these products. Ironically, I just heard a story from my son that my granddaughter was needing a tablet for school. They had to use his wife's tablet till the school got their tablets in, which happened over Friday. So they had the weekend to reset up the new tablet for school. And so that it's a real demand out there. The other part is that there's a lot of buyers out there that have pent-up shopping demand. They wanted to buy something, they couldn't go out and shop, so they've been surfing the web and looking all over the place for trying to find what they really wanted to either improve their at-home tools or to get some of these newer type devices that make them feel more secure. Even product as simple as, touch-free thermometers and things like Steve said on the healthcare, checking your oxygen levels of your blood, a little finger device that goes on to check those things. These are little simple things that people are probably going to say, I want to have one of those in my home today. So with that to be said, the retailers are scurrying looking for them. They're looking for things like whiteboards. When you're teaching a child at home and you got to go through and look at the lesson plan and you want to put it on tomorrow, these are the things you must get done in class while you're on your video on that whiteboard sitting next to them at their table. All those type of things that we didn't traditionally think about, but we took for granted in school, people are replicating those things at home. There's a lot of projector type units now that neighborhoods are starting to put up movie nights, and they're taking their garage door and draping a big sheet across it and inviting the neighbors to sit outside from their home in view and watch the movie, right? So, there's things like that that are going on that we're thinking very differently. But I think as we get through 2021, that demand will still be there for the products that they couldn't get over holiday. When we get into the gaming world, they're just introducing the new consoles, both by Sony and Microsoft, and they're coming out in November. The official releases are in November. With that to be said, there's no way they could meet the demand of that product even up through this Christmas holiday. It's going to be highly coveted, highly in demand, and that will carry into January and February and March. So continually. Even the software demand, as Steve was saying, those that are comfortable downloading content are going to do it so they can get the game faster. And the hard copy of the game is going to be more challenging to get in the stores. So as Stephen mentioned, the download to whether it be PC gaming or whether it be console gaming, whether it be the new Oculus type headset units that are downloading the AI type information or augmented reality information is all going to be downloaded. So Christmas morning or holiday morning, whatever, people are going to be finding that the servers are probably going to be challenged because everybody's going to want to download and try their new device and play with it and enjoy it over the holiday weekend. So all those type of things I think are going to be the demand items. And then when you get your gift cards and other things like that, you'll still see that gift giving card season extend even beyond January, just because of some of these hot items that'll take a while to catch up. So we're seeing on a lot of the gaming product that they're pre-sold. A lot of the retailers are going in, they know what they might get on their first runs of allocation, and they're pre-selling them to their good customers. And it's really going to be a challenge on one side, as Steve said, but we're going to also have to manage, how we do it. Does it get fulfilled through an e-commerce model and we drop ship fill it? Because the retailer doesn't want all these customers just running in the door and they feel disappointed. They made the effort to get in the store and they might not have been able to get it. So, everybody's looking at what's the best way to keep the consumer happy, give them some idea of when they can get something, and then be able to feel that they'll meet the demand that's out there. I mean, we're trying to guide them as best we can in working with the manufacturers, but there are true limitations, and manufacturers are air freighting product in.
Another aspect that before we get to Steve, that is also going to challenge those servers is not only the downloads, but also those games that always constantly have to stay connected, right? Is that's also going to drive some of those servers.
Sure.
Steve, we'll give you the last word on this. 2021, what are you guys looking at and what are you seeing?
Yeah, well, Fred just described a lot of the underpinnings of the historically strong demand that we've seen throughout this season all year long. We've established that demand is going to carry over into holiday 2020. And our view is that continues to just spill over into 2021. And really any inventory limitations or supply constraints, these kinds of things is not really going to be, it's going to be a function of that historic high demand and not a function of supply chain issues. What we're seeing is a pretty healthy supply chain right now. Of course, we are hearing of some spot shortages of components and chips and things. I think that's just a function of trying to gin up the factories to really cope with this historically high demand. But yeah, carries on into 2021, and that's going to pay dividends down the line as we really much across America, we level up tech adoption. And I mean, our research has shown time and time again that the more tech that people own, the more tech that they want. Yeah. So I think that's going to be good things for consumers and the industry.
Fred Towns, appreciate your time. Fred is from New Age Electronics, and Steve Koenig from Consumer Technology Association. To find out more about New Age, you can go to their website, synexcorp.com/New Age Electronics. That's synexcorp.com/New Age Electronics. My name is Tim Albright for This Week in CE.